Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Let us continue to pray to the God of dislikes. Let's say a few more prayers while we wait for a couple of my friends to join this live stream. Let's pray two more times as we wait. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. I am seriously considering fast tracking things, and I'm thinking about proposing. It's kind of a blind gamble, almost like a Russian roulette. But I am seriously considering proposing to my girlfriend by New Year's night, and here's why. We got to step back a few months. Here's why. When the pandemic first broke out in 2020, and I was all alone, I loved it. I loved the freedom that came with it. I wrote a number of computer AIs for various computer games. I went out to see the great conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn. I did all of that alone. I spent some time in Wallace, Idaho. And what else did I do during that? I visited the Rocky Mountain, the Phoenix, Arizona, for the first time in my life. I didn't stay here permanently that time. I started making bismuth art during, 2 years into the pandemic. I started making bismuth art. Now, here's the problem. We started to reopen the economy, things started to get back to normal, and I quickly discovered that I love single life, but I find it difficult to compete with other people who have a second set of hands and a second income, right? So, Phoenix is not terribly inexpensive, right? It's less expensive than Seattle, but it can still be challenging, right? And then I would go look for housing, and I would see myself competing against other people who had two incomes to pay for a similar housing situation that I was paying for, right? And then various domestic chores would come up, or various life challenges would come up that would be easier to handle with two people. For example, in July this year, 2024, here in the Phoenix area, it got to be 110, 115, 120 degrees. And I was living alone, and I often didn't have a second set of hands to pick up something at the store if I were sick, right? It was 115 degrees. I got COVID-19 during that time, July of 2024. Just as I start recovering from COVID-19, I go out to the local grocery store to pick up some comfort foods. And there was nowhere to sit down. And I ended up sitting on this mobility scooter. I had about 5 bananas and I was eating it, sitting on the mobility scooter at the front of the store. And store security gave me a hard time, saying, "Excuse me, these mobility scooters are for people to use in the store." There were three of them. It's not like I was taking up the only one, if I remember correctly. And he was very upset and insistent that I leave the store. I apologized to him. I said I'll make it quick, and then I said I'm just recovering from COVID-19. And the only reason he backed off of trying to ask me to leave the store was because he heard COVID-19. Had I said that I don't know, if I had said that I was sleep deprived, I was hungover, or had I said that I was recovering from chemotherapy, had I said that I was what had I said that I had some other issue that might not spread, right? An asthma attack, or diabetes, right? Low blood sugar. Had I said anything that wasn't contagious, he probably wouldn't have been so okay with it, right? The only reason he backed off was because of his own safety. And it really hit me hard. I really don't like the concept of everybody for themselves. I really don't, because sooner or later, anybody can get anything wrong. And I like to think that I would help somebody else in the same situation. You know why a lot of times I don't help somebody in the same situation? Because I know that I need to take care of myself to not end up in that. It becomes a very selfish war, right? Of self-preservation. It's kind of like Trump's whole trade war kind of situation, right? Except instead of the U.S. and China trading with each other, these are people helping each other in their most dire situations, right? And so it really reinforced the idea after my situation with COVID 19 last summer. Oh, and also, my car insurance bill comes due every February and August. So I had just recovered from COVID 19 when I got a shock of a bill. I didn't get into any accidents or anything, but the bill had nearly doubled from the beginning of the pandemic. And I haven't gotten into an accident of my fault since 2016. And when I talked to a friend of mine from church, he pays less to insure two cars than I do to insure one. He has a sedan and an SUV, and he's married. I don't think they have any kids, and so that's when I joked with him that he needs to set me up with somebody on a blind date. And I told him that, I offered him you guys saw 1 kilogram silver bar, an Indian bar, a bunch of bismuth, some other art that I put together. And I told him that the reason I'm giving you such a great reward is even just a few years of car insurance will make it worthwhile, right? Now, here's the problem. He won the reward, and I gave it to him. He actually didn't want it, but I insisted that he take it because I got to be true to my word. But now I still pay for my apartment by myself. I actually just ran into a problem where I got illegally evicted, in my opinion. I still have to pay that car insurance bill by myself. I'm still not married. I still don't get any discounts for that. I still have to cook dinner for myself. I still got to take care of myself when I have COVID 19 or whatever disease decides to come next election year, right? Plus, I have all these dating expenses. And so I've kind of lost my way, right? And please continue to pray that things go right. I'm hoping to propose to her on New Year's night because I'm either gonna win big or I'm gonna go bust completely, right? I got to take that gamble. It's kind of like imagine this. Imagine somebody offers to sell you their $1 billion mansions for $2 million cash, and you only have 1 million. Well, you could go to Las Vegas and put that 1 million on red and hope for the best, right? Because if you win, you really get a $1 billion mansion, right? That's the kind of situation that I'm living with right now, right? Um, and that's bad. What happened? It appeared to be a smooth. You know what? The landlord really showed her true colors when push came to shove, right? I know she didn't cause that water flooding damage. I know she didn't cause that, but she handled it really badly, in my opinion. I think I think the problem is that she wanted to weasel her way out of it, right? She didn't want to have to, the honest thing to do would be to put me into an Airbnb or a hotel or something. She didn't want to do that. So she weaseled her way out of it by complaining about various things, nonsense things that I was involved with. Fortunate, I have the presence of mind to bring my girlfriend over to have a witness. I'm going to be suing her in small claims court in the near future, so I don't want to talk too much about it. I'm so pleased that I had the presence of mind to have witnesses to the situation. But right now, I'm just kind of in this quandary where I have the worst of both worlds, right? All of the disadvantages of being single, plus all of the costs of a partner without any of the benefits, right? And so it's really destroying me. I was just thinking, we talk about budget deficits with the United States. I ran my first budget deficit since the pandemic, probably, right? In my own personal life. I mean, granted, a lot of that was the rewards that I was giving out. But this month, December 2024, I think it's my first month of budget deficits since March of 2020 when I was in between jobs, right? I was in between the in-person work before I started my remote job, right? Actually, I didn't run a budget deficit that year because I got a stimulus. So this was my first personal budget deficit since the last time I was unemployed, which was in 2018, actually. right? So 6 years of surpluses, and then this 1 month of big deficits. Right? That's not too bad. Anyways, continue to pray for me. I'm kind of in this quandary where I'm in between a rock and a hard place, right? Pray for me by leaving it. Let's get 100 dislikes. Whoever left a like, would you mind changing it to it? This is the symbol I use. Please change it to a dislike, right? This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.